everyone. Welcome back to our podcast at She Leads To. I'm Vishaka Singhil from India, and today's episode is very special since we have a very special guest with us. Basically, on this platform, we talk about ambition, public service, leadership, and young women stepping into very new, different spaces. Spaces that weren't always built for them. But today we are not just talking about it, we are sitting with someone who has actually done it all, from national infrastructure programs impacting millions of people around the world to serving across multiple administrations in Philippines, to becoming a military reservist, to pivoting in AI and global academia. Our guest today is someone who rose to power when she was very young, and she kept evolving from there. She is currently pursuing her master's at Oxford and LSE, and also she founded an AI platform called as the NightOwl AI to preserve endangered languages. And she has built a career at the intersection of governance, technology, climate, and inclusivity. Anna, welcome to the podcast. I'm very excited to have you here with us.
No, thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Before we dive into everything, we have so much to discuss about you. When you hear your journey summarized like that, how does it feel?
I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel that I have constantly been evolving in the last few years, and that I've been always pivoting. And I think this is a reflection of life and how young people are. Sometimes you just want to be able to ensure that you are in the right path. Yeah.
Uh,
And I guess I pivot from one place to the other because deputy minister of ICT, you see the restrictions and the limitations of your country. It was a time when when artificial intelligence becoming like the talk of the town. People are trying to say we are going to move to an age of artificial intelligence. But you look at your country and you see the limitations, you see the restrictions. A lot of this AI infrastructure are only concentrated in about 20 countries. And if you look at more developing economies like where I'm from, because I'm from the Philippines, you see that there is a massive potential on where we can go like 10, 20 years from now. But also talent. There's not a lot of courses being offered back home specific on artificial intelligence systems. And most of the experts are concentrated elsewhere. And I guess this is the reason why I decided to enter the academia based on the honest assumption that whatever knowledge I have now is not sufficient in the work that I do. I cannot regulate AI when I cannot fully understand it. And it was from that honest assumption that I decided to re enter the academia.
I do agree with you since today the world is all about AI, automation, and everything. So each and every person in every sector, if they're in finance or engineering or whatever field they are in, they need to have some knowledge of AI. Because if you don't know anything about AI, it's very difficult to adapt, and change is the constant. So you need to learn and just keep learning. I think that's a really good thing that you did. But I have a question. Like, do you ever feel like your career has a very different seasons, like very different versions of you evolving through life?
Yeah, I think so, but I think they're also interrelated. I guess I started my career in the United Nations, and I guess I was exposed to a lot of inequities early on, and we have been fighting for rights, we have been fighting for equity, we have been fighting for fair opportunity and for women and young people to be given a place at the table. And I guess it's all interrelated because this themes has been the driving force behind uh, my startup, for example, because Night Owl AI, we wanted to make sure that AI systems cover more than 1% of the languages. Because if we look at the current statistics, most of the languages in AI systems are the more dominant languages. And
Yeah.
um, it's almost a new form of colonization, because now a lot of people who do not speak this language would have to relearn it just to be able to access the world of artificial intelligence.
That's you bring a very different perspective. Like we all use AI. So the basic language which we deal is in English. So there are only I think three, four languages, five, six top languages which people can use AI in. So that's definitely a great start where you're bringing in languages from your hometown so that each and every person from there could access it. And it's a very important thing that should be highlighted in today's world because in India itself there are a lot of regional languages and not everyone is very acquainted with all the languages like international languages like English for example, French, German. So not everyone around me knows all these languages. We are we have learned English in our schools and that's why we're able to access AI. So it's very important for people to learn it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Philippines is also predominantly English based. In fact, we have transitioned into an English based education system. As early as primary and secondary schooling, I think India and Philippines is the same in a sense that we all know how to speak in English.
Yeah.
Problem is, how does it affect our own languages? Because I looked at the statistics in the Philippines, and almost 50% are already endangered, simply because that it is not the language of commerce. um, English has become one of the dominant languages in the system because it is where um, it is the primary communication you use for commerce, for trade, for jobs, for education. And I feel privileged to be able to speak it. But I look at my indigenous community in my hometown, and I feel that one, when you input their language into the system, they are not um, understood. Second, majority are just endangered. And according to United Nations, if we do not do anything about this, even before the advent of AI, 95% of the languages are going to disappear by 2100.
Yeah.
And I guess this is something that we are trying to push for. That if we are going to create these AI ecosystems, because there is no way we can stop artificial intelligence now, it
Yeah.
is going to be the future. Then what we can only advocate for is that it be more equitable so that more people are able to access these AI systems.
Yeah, true. And it's very important to preserve our languages because if we don't preserve our languages now, so then people won't use it, and the future generations they wouldn't even know how to speak in a particular language. So I think it's very important to preserve your language.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
no, true.
Moving forward, Anna, you emerged from Karai group, if I'm pronouncing it right,
Karaya.
and yeah, Karaya.
It's pronounced karaya.
Karaya group, and then you entered international leadership space at a very young age. I want to start here, not professionally, but very personally. What did it feel like walking in room where you were very young than most of the other people, and often one of the few women there.
Um, I guess I knew it from a very young age to always be I guess judge. I mean, growing up, I had a speech defect, so I had to do a lot of trainings to be able to achieve to this level of communication now. But I feel that because I've struggled and I know how it feels, I want to pave the way for other people like me to be able to speak in these spaces. And I guess this is the reason why we are trying to push this. And this is the reason why I always felt that young people, no matter how difficult it is, should insist to be heard, because our voices are important. And I feel that this diversity of voices, a lot of young people can be experts um, on very important fields at a very young age, and that the older generation also will benefit from listening. And I guess it is this mutual dialogue that is very, very important in this day and in this time. I think if people only listen and pursue real dialogue, then I think most of our problems will actually not exist.
Agreed. But like, have you ever felt underestimated around the same circle because just because of your age or that you are a woman?
Yeah,
Has it
of
ever
course.
happened?
Of course, you entering a space wherein everyone else is different. When I was in infrastructure, less than 5% are women. 95% were male, and the average age is about 45 to 50. But you accepted the job, and the job is before you, and so you have to make sure that you do your job. And I guess I also brought a very young team. We were trying to utilize technology on how to improve transparency and monitoring in how government projects are done. And I think this when you're trying to solve old problems, I think you need to bring in new minds on how
Yeah.
to solve them, because I feel that if you keep on doing um, the more traditional approach to the problem we are confronting now, we will not really go anywhere insofar as regulations are concerned, because technology is evolving at a very fast pace, and anywhere in the globe, regulation is having a hard time trying to regulate it. And so, but it can be powerful. Artificial intelligence are now able to do project monitoring almost at an unprecedented rate. And it offers a viable solution to a lot of things. And that is why I feel that technology is neutral. That while I believe that there are some criticisms that had to be made insofar as AI systems are concerned, I think that we should definitely use it in order to balance, the
Yeah.
playing field.
Yeah. Anna, do you think like starting young shaped your leadership style differently than it would have been shaped if you entered a few years later?
Yeah, I really like talking to young people. Um, and I like listening to their thoughts and to their solutions. In fact, I just started a new company. It's called Paraluma News, and it's a youth-led news agency. And this is something that we have been trying to push through, because we feel that young people shouldn't just be consumers of news. That young people should be regarded as experts, and that
Uh,
yeah, and that
if I
they
may
should be
know,
given a
what
voice. Yeah.
if I may know, like what's the organization about that you just started?
Oh, it's a news organization. It's a youth-led news organization based in the Philippines, but covering global news. Um, and um, and we're primarily young people, but we also converge with different generations, because I feel that a newsroom should be represented by all generations. But I feel that there should be a news agency specifically for young people.
Um, Completely agreed because I guess as youth we don't really get to put our perspectives in front of people and we are not taken seriously. Like talking about the generation to the Gen Z generation, I think the Gen Zs are very they know about a lot of things happening around the world, but their perspective is not taken seriously as a 45-year-old's perspective would be taken. So I think that's a great initiative on your side that you are building an organization where it's all led by youth and their perspectives are being shared with everyone. So it's a great initiative. Coming back to you, You've chaired massive international initiatives under programs and programs that have impacted millions of people all around the world, especially in Philippines, your hometown. That scale, most young professionals don't even imagine handling, because it's handling a million of people. It's so much stress, and it comes with a lot of its problems too. How do you carry responsibility at that magnitude without it overwhelming you?
Um, I guess you go and ask yourself what your reason for being there, because there is a reason why you accepted that particular position and that particular task and that particular job. And to me, it has always because I felt that my country can achieve more insofar as potential is concerned. Um, I'm not from a political dynasty. I am the first person in my family to join government. And I feel that as a Filipino, it is something that I wanted to do for my country and for myself. Do I want to be back in government? I don't think so. I think that it is some that I have fully closed that door already at this
Why
point.
not?
No, it's just that I feel that there is that being in the AI space ha- um, has been electrifying for me. I have never seen something that I am not able to understand, and this inability to understand it, makes me want to go for it on a more in-depth
Deeper.
level. Yeah. So, but looking back, I just wanted to see my country achieve its full potential. I feel that it can achieve more. And I think that the government has a lot of power in its hand to change a lot of people's lives. Um, and this is why I did it. And yeah.
Um, you talked about being in government and having power and authority over a lot of people around you. What would you say is the biggest misconception about that people have about being in power?
Um, I guess misconception about people in power. I don't want to generalize. I feel that I don't want to generalize on what the misconceptions are, and I don't want to generalize that it's a conception for all politicians. But I feel that there will be the governments and states can drive growth and can drive innovation in their country. And if there is, I believe on the power of the private sector to drive change, but I feel that governments and states should always invest in innovation, insofar as development is concerned. And I feel that when there is sufficient government intervention and government support, a lot of industries will flourish even in more impoverished communities.
Yep, I agree with that. Um, did being in a leadership position change you as a person personally?
Yeah, I guess because you encounter so much issues, and the issues will be different from one sector to the other. It also broadens your appreciation for diversity, because diversity is something you confront every day. uh, there are very specific issues when you go to Luzon, and if you go to Visayas, and if you go to Mindanao. And I guess you have to appreciate this level of diversity and individualism for you to be able to, get in everyone to contribute to the collective effort of the country insofar as nation building is concerned. But India, for example, is the same, because we have a lot of more minority ethnic groups. There's so much divisions in the country. And for the Philippines, it's so much more I guess it's very, very difficult in some ways, because you have a country with about 8,000 islands, and your issue is how to provide them the same level of services. And so if your issue is how to give them, for example, internet connection, and fiber is the best insofar as reliable internet is concerned, but that solution is not adequate for the context you are in. And so you try to look around for other technologies. And I think my last project was the entry of low orbit satellites in the country, which means that you do not have to lay fiber in islands because a lot of private contractors feel that laying out fiber in areas where there is no um, massive population is and I guess this is a problem, and this is the reason why only 65% of the country has some level of internet connection. And that's why a lot of people also migrate to these areas, and a lot of the other islands have minimal to almost no population. And because of the services, it's a question of whether government services there, or is there hospital service, is there clean water, is there electricity, and yeah.
Yeah, and today, like having an internet connection, it's one of the basic necessities today in the world
It's a
because
human right, I think.
yeah, yeah, it same as having water, food, and clean sanitation, homes, a place to live. It's same as having an internet connection and a good network because, as you said, it's a human right. Today, everything revolves around technology, and technology is the future. If you be it AI, automation, internet, like it's part of our lives and it's a very crucial part of our lives. Me as a student, it's helping me out in very different ways. It's helping out people who are in different businesses, different positions in life. So yeah, I think AI is the next big thing here. Um, Talking about the your government time there, what is the one thing that you learned about yourself being in government for so much time?
I guess that I am able to pivot in so many ways possible because I don't believe in utilizing traditional solutions and solving new problems. Um, for example, if there is a choice between fiber or low orbit satellites, and you are in a developing economy, um, even with I feel that um, a lot of the access issues is also an economic issue. So, for example, we cannot talk about access to artificial intelligence systems without talking about digital equity. I mean, how are people who have no access to the internet going to be able to access artificial intelligence systems? And I guess this is taken for granted in more affluent economies. But when you go back home, um, and I know for a fact 65% has internet connection, but that leaves a good 35% without internet connection. And of those 65% that has connection, how many of them are able to access it at a regular point of view? I mean, are they able to access it once a month, or are they able to freely access it on a more daily basis? And I guess the metrics are very important. And I feel that there's also so much that we can do from an academic and from a research perspective. How do we make this technology much more cost efficient so that people from more developing economies are able to afford it? Um, how many countries are able to say, I have a sovereign AI system, for example? And I don't think a lot of countries can. I think you
Yeah.
can count the countries who would be able to claim that at the palm of your hands. And so I feel that this is something that we should oppose, that this is something that we should strive for, and I think that this is something that we should build. And I think that, some people are saying it's impossible. But for young people, usually nothing is impossible. They try to, go and enter the most difficult, complex problems just because they think that it is needed. And if we only solve problems that are easy, then we are not doing this generation or the next generation justice.
Yeah, and I liked one of the lines that you said that today the new modern problems they need modern solutions and the modern perspective. So it's very important for each and every individual at any point of their lives to learn about the new things that's happening around the world, be it AI automation or anything like that. Like everyone needs to be aware of what's happening around the world and what's developing. Like you being in USA, you must have seen a lot of things happening on a daily basis, a lot of different things happening at a very daily basis. There are a lot of startups coming up which are AI based and they are doing so good. And AI is helpful, I think, everywhere. Like everyone can use it for the betterment. And yeah. Also, we have talked about you handling public security, political environments, crisis response, disaster recovery, and campaign leadership. How do you, as a person, handle all the criticism, especially in the big public roles?
I know some people will um, not agree, but I read almost all criticisms. I anonymize them and read everything. And I
Oh,
guess it has been good for me, I feel. It's always good to listen to your harshest critics. And I think even to young people, I always say that if someone criticizes your work, you should be able to uh, thank them because it is the only way where you pivot forward and onwards. I mean, for example, Night Owl AI, we have changed it 200 times. And I feel that it was because of this, um, critical lens. You have to examine your product from a very critical standpoint because I think when you talk about businesses or when you talk about programs, you always have to look at the intended beneficiaries. Are they helpful for the people you created this tool for? And if they say that this is our problems and this is the reason why we are not able to use it as efficiently as possible, then you have to change your product. You have to listen and you have to make sure that the people who criticizes your product are very broad. And so
so
long as they are legitimate, I think you ought to listen to them.
taking criticism so positively, I think it's a skill in itself because there are today when everyone's on social media and everything is on social media, so you get a lot of criticism and people get a lot of online hate too. But it's very important that you divide the feedback criticism into positive criticism or negative criticism, and then work on the feedback and make yourself better at a thing. So that's a great skill to have. And like as you said, it's a skill that you have, and I think it's a great leadership skill too, because if you don't take criticism positively and if you don't work on your mistakes, I don't think so if you can evolve in a better way.
The world is changing, and so you have to change also at some point. And I think that the only thing that's constant is change. So, um, and this is the reason why you never settle in one product. In that, when you have a product, you should always update it and update it and update it up to the point wherein it is compatible at the time you are in.
Yeah.
It's just a reality that we have now.
But like, have you ever doubted yourself, like privately, and think that was, like that made you self doubt upon yourself?
Yeah, yeah, of course. You know, and failure is also constant. So there will be times wherein you fail, and there will be many times when you will fail. But a mentor has always told me that it is much more important to work harder and to come to work after a failure, or else failure will be your reality. But if you come to work and you try to push on your research, then it is something that you are able to um, get a different outcome. But if you sort of stop working after a failure, then it becomes a much more different problem, because then you get stuck at that level and at that mentality.
Yeah, and I feel like failures are the best teachers one could ever have because it teaches you in a way which reforms you as a person itself. So I think people should learn from the failures rather than crying over your failures. And it's a thing that I've not seen in much people. People don't take their failures in a very positive way. People should start taking their failures in a positive way and start learning from them. I think each and every failure any person would have in their life, they teach you something very important about yourself. So working on that, I think it's very important.
I agree. I agree completely. I think that I don't think anyone who has ever been successful, or anyone in the world, can say that he or she has never failed. It is constant and it will be there. And it's a matter of how you manage failure going forward.
And what was your toughest period in your career till now? Not publicly, but internally. Like internally, when you felt like this is just too much for me, or you felt like giving up, or yeah.
I guess when I tried to pivot towards a more academic framework, it was coming from a place of, I do not know enough in this space to be able to regulate it much more adequately. And this is it was the assumption that I do not know a lot about artificial intelligence system, that I decided to study artificial intelligence systems. Um, um, and I left a quite a senior role in government. I was already undersecretary, deputy minister level, when I decided um, to leave government. But it is upon the assumption that you are not fully equipped for the role that you decide to go back and study, because your current knowledge set is not sufficient to be effective in your role.
True. You've moved from physical infrastructure to the digital futures, from roads and bridges to AI and endangered language preservation too. That's such a powerful and a very different shift from physical to AI. What inspired you to create Night Owl AI?
Um, I'm from um, I'm from an indigenous group of I'm from the Karaya ethno-linguistic group, so I know the problems firsthand. Um, Karaya is classified as endangered and marginalized. There is not a lot of academic repository insofar as the language is concerned, meaning it is spoken a lot, but insofar as written literature is concerned, there is a very minimal. And I feel that AI is able to do so much insofar as language preservation is concerned. I realize that once an artificial intelligence system is able to know it, it can also aid in training the next generation in learning the language. But this is also, there's a lot of equity issues concerned. Um, and now we are pushing for the creation of open dictionaries and co-creating dictionaries with the communities. We feel that this is something that we will be pursuing in the next few years. Um, when you talk about, um, it's almost taken for granted the availability of dictionaries and thesaurus in English. But when you talk about more minor language, it's non existent. And we feel that this is going to change. And we would not be able to build AI systems if we do not have the basic academic repositories. And I feel that, you know, this is going to be my life's work.
Um, Do you see AI as a form of nation building too?
Of course, um, it is something that I think, is inevitable. It is something that we cannot escape. Artificial intelligence will exist now, and it will exist in a different form 10, 20 years from now. We are already seeing the changes. You are now seeing a lot of autonomous vehicles, autonomous robots, and AI is being integrated in almost all industries. I guess our I guess that the main um, battle for this is, how do developing countries who have less resources build AI sovereign systems at a fraction of the cost, when they don't have as much capital as larger organizations?
Since you've built Night Owl AI, why do you think is language preservation a urgent topic right now in today's world?
Well, language is not just words, it's community, it's history. It's a language you use at home. It's a language where you learn your ABCs. And I feel that it is tied to identity and to a lot of these things. I think that when we preserve a language, we preserve an entire culture. And I think that no matter how homogenization seems to be the best way to go forward, and simplification, I feel that human civilization is going to be much more richer and much more beautiful experience if we admit that our civilization as we know now is beautiful because of the diversity that comes with it.
Yeah. What does future leadership look like in this age of AI? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's going to be very agile. It's going to change from one point to the other. I think that leaders ought to know when to use AI and when to not use AI, when to ensure that there is human involved in AI integrations. Um, it will be a very different world, and I feel that things are going so much faster in this space that the way we look at AI now will be completely different to the way we look AI just 1 year from now. But
Yeah.
you take it for granted you're in the UK and you talk about it on a more daily basis. When I went back home, it was still the same. And I feel that the AI capacity at the time and 3, 4, 5 years ago was still the same. And I feel that, and when I talk to my friends who come from very similar backgrounds, they share the same problems and they share the same issues insofar as this is concerned.
I do agree with it because today, like, if me and my friends, so we all are very, we all know about all the AI platforms and how we can use AI in our daily lives. But if we talk about, for say, my house helps kids, their children. So they don't use AI. They don't know what is AI. They don't know much about it. Like one of my house helps. So their kids they came once at my place. So I was teaching them ki how is ChatGPT and everything. So they were very intrigued by it. Ki, oh, like, is this something, because in their schools, in the government schools, they are not taught all about AI. So I think there are a lot of people today in developing countries right now who don't know what is AI and if it even exists. And
Yeah,
talking about bigger nations like US and UK, many people like know about it. Like almost 90% of the people are aware of AI and how it works.
AI is now being taught as early as primary school, and coding is also being taught as early as primary school. And when you talk about AI systems, you have to tie it up with education and expertise. how much of your population is able to know artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
and what kind of um, AI infrastructure and AI capacity do we see in the next 3 to 5 years?
As someone trying to understand where the world is going today, should young women be entering tech and policy spaces more aggressively today?
I think that they should enter whatever they think they are passionate about. If you are passionate about something, whether it's dance or whether it's tech or whether it's artificial intelligence system, it's going to make so much more difference than just being in a field where you do not have and which you do not feel, passionate about. I think that passion makes a ton of difference.
Yeah. True. I wanted to ask this from a very personal place. As a young women, we are often told to be ambitious, but also to be very balanced, grateful, graceful, available, and just nurturing. Is balance real? Like, how do you balance everything?
I'm not sure if I balance everything, but I think you have to. I don't think that it's a more general thing, but every individual will have values at its core. And you would have to look at your own set of values and think which is important for me at this particular time and at this particular place. I feel that it would be impossible to generalize for an entire population, but what I can say is that there's nothing that's impossible. And so if you think that you want to achieve this, you ought to give yourself at least a chance to pursue it.
Have you ever felt guilty for prioritizing maybe a career over other things in life? Because since you've done so much at very different sectors in very different sectors, like have you ever felt that the guilt?
Um, I guess there are more traditional roles that women are expected to have. And it can be negotiated and renegotiated. But I feel that I will feel less guilty uh, if I do what I think I ought to do at that particular point. I think that I will feel most guilty if I wasn't able to pursue my life's tasks. And I feel that this is something that is very important for me to be able to achieve a certain level of self sovereignty. And yeah.
How do you, as a person, protect your personal identity from your professional identity? Because both are very different. So people tend to mix your personal identity with a professional life and everything. How do you separate both of those things?
Um, when you enter a public space, you sort of leave some of your personal mementos behind. I think that it is impossible to come to put these two things on a more separate basis. Once you enter public space, then there are very little safeguards that you can do insofar as your private life is concerned. And I guess this is also the reason why when people ask me, I always tell them that when you enter a public space, you also give up something. You give up your anonymity. You give up your complete control over your time because suddenly there are more tasks that are more important to certain things. It is always a negotiation and a renegotiation whether you go and allocate more time to your personal life or your professional life. And I think that this um, is something that a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, how was the shift for you, like from working to now studying as a student all over again? How was it for you getting back to studies at such a prestigious university?
it has been humbling and it has been exhilarating. I feel that being surrounded by so many different perspectives, because you could be in a table and in a pub, and it's gonna be very multicultural. You have so much diversity in so far as ethnicity is concerned, but also it can emanate from very different competencies. You can be I don't know if you know, but in Oxford you sort of live together
Yeah.
in a house, in a college, and so your friends are not doing the same course. So you will have a school wherein everyone is trying to push for the same course, and you have a college, which functions like your home in the university. And I guess this has been very meaningful for me insofar as appreciation is concerned, because now you get to hear views of people who are very passionate about very different things. I have friends who are trying to cure cancer or lymphoma, and I guess these are very different. They are trying to build robotics for certain types of problems, and I feel that um, um, it is this level of passion, I think, that becomes very critical for you to also be able to sustain the momentum to solve your own set of
Yeah.
problems. Um, yeah, because you're all trying to push towards certain things, and suddenly now it doesn't seem crazy to be working on the problems that you are working. I think that it is the right environment to tackle crazy problems.
True. And also, like, since I am myself looking for colleges abroad and even in India for my masters, um, the one thing I feel that differentiates a normal college to a very top tier college is pure learning. Like in very great colleges like Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, etc., they tend to have people in such groups that they learn from each other, people from very different domains. Like you might not even know about robotics much since you're not from that field, about different things, maybe any different things, any different sectors. So I feel like you learn a lot being friends with such people who are in very different domains too. So I think that's a very positive thing about being in such a college, because if you're in Harvard, Oxford, such universities, you know that people who are there, they are specialized in one of the domains. Like for you, say you were in government, so you know very much about it, and you are a specialized person in that sort, compared to me. So we tend to learn from each other very well. So I think that's a great thing.
And there's a lot of opportunities for serendipitous encounters, like how you are able to meet people very randomly in libraries and in your college, in garden parties, and in and I guess this is something that just happens on a more organic basis.
True. What are the five best things you liked about Oxford studying there?
Oh, I think that number one would be the community. That there is a lot of opportunity for serendipitous encounters. The learning doesn't just end with the professors. You learn from your colleagues at the same course. You learn at the people in your college. You learn from people at the pub. You learn at the people from the garden, and it's a whole different conversation. I appreciate the diversity and the spectrum of conversation you get. And I feel that this is something that um, makes the experience so much more meaningful. Um, I guess second, it's the fascination for impossible problems. I think that everyone is trying to tackle an impossible problem that it doesn't seem impossible anymore. And when you see your friends succeed in solving their researches, it feels like um, you are also closer to solving your own. And I guess it's powerful to be in that community. And number three, it's the appreciation of cultures. I feel that I learned so much just by talking insofar as culture is concerned, that I get to experience very different culture because now, for example, our cohort, we're 56 and we are 60, but we're coming from 42 to 52 different countries. So it's a
Oh.
very multicultural, and so the conversation is there. I feel that there is so much appreciation for heritage, that they were able to preserve buildings and institutions for over 800 years. So I feel that you are part of something so much more bigger than yourself. And it continues. As a student, I think it's really but I love all my alma maters and at an equal level. I just wanted to emphasize that because you only ask about Oxford, but I'm also an alumni of LSE and
Yeah.
University of the Philippines. Yeah,
LSE is one of my dream colleges.
yeah.
Just saying.
I love LSE. I love LSE also. Um, it's very different from Oxford, but it's also a very good experience. I feel that um, it was the right thing to do at the right time because that was the time when I pivoted and we were able to touch about artificial intelligence systems, major programs, infrastructures, and how you build, cities in general.
I'm gonna take a crash course from you whenever I'm going for my masters for sure. How to tackle
Yeah,
college.
yeah. Let me know. Let me know. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But now I have a few rapid fire questions from you. So, you just have to answer very fast first. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So, quick rapid fire round, huh? Leadership myth you would want to break.
Again, can you repeat that? Sorry.
What is the leadership myth that you want to break?
Oh, that leadership roles are only for senior people.
One book that shaped you as a person, or one book you would recommend to the people watching.
Um, I really like the work of Arundhati Roy. I think he's in. Yeah, yeah, I know. I have also a fascination for Jose Saramago and Haruki Murakami. Uh,
What books have
very
you read,
of
Murakami?
Murakami, I read Kafka on the Shore. I've um I've read several of his books,
You
but
should read Norwegian Wood too.
again,
You should read Norwegian Wood by
oh,
Murakami.
I
Yeah.
also read.
Oh, you
I
read
I was
that?
done. Yeah, yeah, I'm done. I've I've read I think about 8 books already of Haruki Murakami, and when I was so much younger, I feel that it was just the diversity of voices that I needed at that time. Even my author list, they're very diverse in a sense that they emanate from very different cultures. I like the poems of Pablo Neruda, for example. Um, I guess it's just important to read and to be able to get that. Even when you can ask AI all the questions in the world, I think that there is still value in reading.
What is the one failure that have taught you the most in your life? Since we talked about failures a while back, what is that one failure for you?
Um, yeah, no, I think it was a pivot when I admitted to myself that I needed to learn more about AI systems, and I decided to travel to the UK. I think that it was the most productive thing that I had to do for myself. And I think sometimes that you just have to admit what your limitations are so you're able to do something about it rather than just pretend it doesn't exist and role play. And so I feel that it was very important for me to be honest to myself and to admit to myself what my limitations are.
Um, since you're from Philippines, what is that one cuisine, one dish from Philippines that you would want to have people to try from Philippines? I'm a big time
S-
foodie, so I would. That's a personal question for me, but yeah.
Sisig
Oh, okay. Like, is it one of your favorite dishes?
is one of my favorite dishes. But yeah.
Yeah. Last question. If you weren't in public service or AI, what would you be doing right now?
Oh, probably a writer.
Oh, yeah. I think you have written a book, right?
Yeah, but I guess in another day I would be a novelist, I feel.
We are looking forward to reading more from you, your publications.
Yeah.
Um, what's a future plan? Like, what different sector do you want to go into? Like, you've done half of the things that a person would have done in the four lives. So, like, what's next for you?
No, no, no. I think I'm saying where I currently am. So I think that I will still be in the AI and tech space, and that I'm entering the world of news, and I feel that this is where I want to be in for the next few years.
Ah, that's great. Finally, Anna got something she really likes.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, I would want to close with this. If a 19-year-old girl from a very small town is watching this right now and she wants to change her country but doesn't know where to start, what would you tell her?
Just do your best in whatever job you have now. There is no little or big task. If you get a job, do it very well and um and commit to it and do it and let destiny run its course.
Thank you so much, Anna, for your insights. It was great talking to you and
No, it
knowing your.
was great talking to you. Thank you.
Today's conversation reminded me that leadership isn't about just titles, it's more about the courage, responsibility, and revolving with a purpose. Since you have a purpose around each and everything that you're doing right now, we've talked this much. So, this is the thing I got to know about you, that you have a purpose behind everything you do. So, to everyone watching, especially young women, you don't have to wait to be older to be powerful. You just have to start somewhere. And Anna is a big example for it in front of us. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next episode.